Doing great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good morning,
Mayor.
Mayor Sheevy.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
You can? Oh, okay, good.
Mr. Farahi just joined us
I
as
can't
well.
hear any of you.
We have a quorum.
Morning, Daniel. Welcome.
Corey?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear any
Good
of
morning.
you. I don't know.
Let's see.
I don't know.
Do you
Morning,
have
Shannon.
are you connected with the sound? Can you hear us, Mayor Sheevy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Now I can't hear Mayor Sheevy.
We can hear her, I think.
She's connecting. Mayor Sheevy is going to attempt to reconnect to get the sound working.
Okay, I think, go ahead. Can you hear me, Corey? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Oh, now I can hear
yay.
you. Good.
Perfect.
Yay.
Wonderful. Okay.
You would think we have this down by now. We've only done this 950 times. Okay. All right, good morning. Let's call this meeting to order. Looks like everyone's here. At this time, I would love it if Ann Silver, will you lead us in the pledge?
All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good job.
Sort of.
All right, Corey, do we have any public comment?
We do not have any public comment via voicemail or email at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, moving on then. Can I get a motion to approve the
I'm
agenda
sorry.
of April 27th?
Mr. Kennedy, do you have something?
Yeah, we want to do a roll call. We skip by that one.
Oh, yeah, we skipped over that. Sorry.
All
That
right.
would be helpful.
Councilwoman Bybee.
Here.
And Mr. Chapman,
Present.
Mr. Farahi, Ms. Keel,
Here.
Commissioner Lucy. I believe Commissioner Lucy is unable to make this meeting. Mr. Murdoch,
Here.
Mayor Sheevy,
Here.
Ms. Silver,
Here.
Mr. Sturbins.
Here.
Roll call complete.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll head on to item C, approval of the agenda for April 27th, special board of directors meeting. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of April 12th?
Motion.
Councilwoman Bybee, I'll move to approve the minutes of the April 12th special board meeting.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilwoman Bybee, a second from Ann Silver. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, good job. Okay, item E, presentations. I believe I'm going to probably send it to you, Charles.
Okay, happy to start off. I think we're going to start off with presentation with Courtney. Is that right? Oh, we're going to do the reopening plan right away. Fantastic. So the reopening plan will be tackled here by the team. I'm going to kick it off. And as we get into this reopening plan, Mayor, I just want to thank you, thank Mayor Ed Lawson, thank also Councilwoman Bybee. Next week is Travel and Tourism Week on a national level. And both cities and mayors were kind enough to issue proclamations around National Travel and Tourism Week. So just wanted to thank you for the support as we, obviously as an industry and certainly as a destination, we are working to recover. So thank you for that support as we plan and start National Travel and Tourism Week next week. We're going to get into a presentation here by the team around reopening, and really it's not around reopening because we've been open except for a very short period of time. But the team and each person of the team here is going to tackle their areas from three different phases. So phase one, which started really around the pandemic, if we want to say July, but really around March of 2020 through October. The second phase is really a recap of the target engagement based upon consumer sentiment and where people were. That's phase two that they're going to talk about. And then phase three really is about from April or now through the end of 2021. So we're going to go through that. Phase one really talked about expense reductions when we went from a staff of 55 down to 29 and then recovered, scaled back operations. Messaging was really part of that key, and we focused that messaging on health and safety, protocols, and travel responsibility. And as I said, we still were open for most of that, and we were targeting really travel intenders around that. The second phase that we're going to talk about is really around when I arrived in November through the end of March. And as you see, we've got bullet points in and around that, supporting our tourism partners, continuing with safe protocols, planning for the post-pandemic, and certainly targeting the folks in our marketing and communications and sales folks who will tackle that. And then the last phase that each segment or each department will talk about is re-engaging. What are we doing from today and through the end of December of this year? And what you'll see there is we're going to tease, among other things, the new campaign that we're going to be launching here very soon. How do we increase that market share and really expanding upon the digitally focused advertising efforts, the partnerships, the in-market, what we're doing on the sales team to enhance those things, influencer marketing, and you'll see that by segment. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Courtney, who's going to talk about, from a finance update, where we are in relation to the re-engagement reopening plan. Courtney?
Great, thanks, Charles. For the record, Courtney Jager, Vice President of Finance. I'll start off by talking about some of our current top financial priorities. Targeted spending and marketing is one of our top objectives, especially as we gear up for our reopening. Areas of focus right now are digital advertising in the California Drive market and advertising in key direct air service markets. You'll hear more about marketing objectives later in the reopening presentation. We continue to maintain room in our budget to support airlift opportunities, which is also in line with the financial objectives in our strategic plan. And you'll recall that we reduced staffing by 37% as a result of the pandemic, and you've probably noticed that we've now started recruiting for certain positions. We are really focusing on restructuring the organization and maximizing efficiency in each operational area as we add positions. We want to increase the efficiency not only at the department level, but for the organization as a whole. With the budget augmentation that was approved by the board in December, we were able to restart our capital improvements program, and we continue to maintain a healthy balance in the rainy day fund. We have not spent any money from the rainy day fund during the pandemic. The balance currently meets the board's strategic objectives, and we look to continue to grow that fund. Next, we'll review our year-to-date budget to actual performance for revenues. You'll remember that we budgeted conservatively for this current fiscal year on both the revenue and expense sides. Currently, room tax collections are 34% over budget, and the tourism surcharge is 20% over budget. Facility revenues have actually come in 75% under budget, however. In total, we're still over budget for revenues, but you will see those overages in the tax collections and surcharge offset by the facilities. Next is our year-to-date budget to actual performance on the expense side. You'll see here that operating expenses are currently 25% under budget. This really reflects our tight control over spending throughout this pandemic. We do intend to ramp up spending in promotions and advertising and other areas as discussed during our funding priorities. So you'll see that budget to actual gap narrow a bit as the months go on. Another item that sticks out here is the budget to actual difference for capital improvements. The team has really been working hard to ensure that we are mindful and efficient with capital spending. I'd like to give a special thanks to RSCVA Facility Operations Manager, Trent LaFerriere, and our project manager, Jose Martinez. They have been working very hard, coordinating with vendors and continuously evaluating and reevaluating projects. Year to date, they have saved the RSCVA over $200,000 on projects compared to the original project budgets, which is allowing us to complete much needed additional projects. We plan to ramp up capital spending towards the end of the year for necessary equipment purchases, projects, repairs, and maintenance. Additionally, the RSCVA bond refunding closed on April 6th. You won't see the savings reflected in the year-to-date summary, but the RSCVA will realize interest savings of over $7 million over the remaining life of the bonds. And as a reminder, we did not add to the principal of the bonds or extend the maturity dates with this refunding. So next, I think a question that has been on everyone's mind is how is our financial performance in comparison to pre-pandemic levels? As you're aware, we didn't really start experiencing the full impact of the pandemic to our revenues until March 2020. So the prior fiscal year through February 2020 is our most recent pre-pandemic period for comparison. Room tax collections are at 68% of pre-pandemic levels, and you'll see the tourism surcharge is around 69%. Facility revenues are actually down 88%. So right now they're at about 12% of those pre-pandemic levels. So overall, in total, you'll see that revenues are down about 43%. Next, we'll take a look at some market trends. The occupancy rate is 19% over what we had budgeted. It's trending about 75% of the pre-pandemic / pre-March 2020 levels. Within that number, the cash occupancy rate is looking really good at about 70% of the prior fiscal year. Moving on to the average daily room rate, we had budgeted conservatively and we factored in a dip in the ADR in our projections, but we've beaten our predictions by 33% and ADR has remained strong. It's currently only down about 3% from pre-pandemic levels. And here we have a summary of visitor volume. Visitor volume is trending around 71% of the pre-pandemic levels. It's looking really strong and we're really excited to see how this trend looks after reopening. And so overall, the RSCVA's financial performance is strong and trends are looking great. We continue to maintain tight control over expenses and we're looking for efficiency in all areas of operations. With that, I'll wrap up the finance portion of this presentation and turn it over to Christina.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christina Ernie, your Director of Marketing, and today I'm going to start by highlighting some of the successful initiatives the marketing department has executed these past few months. Then I'll move into where we are at today, providing a few statistics and key indicators. And lastly, let you know how we are positioned moving forward and present a sneak peek into our new campaign launching next week. Looking at this past year, the marketing team has certainly continued to make an impact and drive conversion as we have positioned our region as top of mind as traveler confidence returns. We have focused our efforts primarily on digital advertising for its flexibility and hyper-targeting abilities. Reaching an audience demonstrating recent travel intent was the foundation of all audience targeting for our winter media buy. The Bay Area and Southern California continued to contribute majority of activity, reaffirming strong brand awareness and alignment in these geographies. While we primarily used a radius approach targeting drive markets, our highest performing audience was actually the airport traveler. We targeted people who had recently flown using real-time location data around select target airports. Research stated that 70% of those who had flown were willing to fly again. So being able to identify these travelers and then layer in that brand alignment proved to be successful. You can see an example of the curated ads we used to target frequent flyers in the top right. And below that, you see health and safety, in addition to outdoor recreation, which were also standout performers. Another major initiative we're continuing to really work on is welcoming and providing resources for visitors of all abilities, from a new website widget to accessibility adjustments to integrating more diversity into our promotional efforts. I am proud to be elevating our content to be more inclusive across the board. So one of these partners we've leaned on is the High Fives Foundation. And if you don't know them, they're a nonprofit who provides resources for those who have life-altering injuries. And we recently captured this 1-minute video with their CEO, Roy Tuscany, that I'd like to play for you now. And fingers crossed, there's no hiccups. There's no sound on it, Tracy. Shoot. Have you tried, did you click that box in sharing video? And if that doesn't work, we can just go ahead and move on.
I can mention that he's a great member of the Reno Sparks Chamber, graduated from our leadership class, and he experienced a very frightening ski injury many years ago, worked his way back to walking status, married someone with a disability. They have a 2-year-old son, and Roy has done an incredible job championing the organization High Fives Foundation, to which we contribute and many others do, so that individuals with injuries can resume their sports activities. And this video, which I've seen, is quite incredible, as you can appreciate how many individuals with disabilities are absolute daredevils and have resumed their sports activities to the fullest extent possible.
Christina, why don't we move on and send up
Yeah.
the link to the board afterwards?
Thank you so much for those kind words. And I mean, really, this video, he really highlights and promotes our destination. I mean, adventure knows no bounds, you know, and we really are able to provide so many resources in our area, not only us, but our community at large. And so we're just super proud of that and have him championing our initiatives. So thank you for that, Anne, and contributing. And sorry, everyone, I'll go ahead and send out a link to everyone after the presentation. All right, moving on, let's go to what we are seeing right now. So this past month, we've seen key indicators that have signaled a strong return for travel to our region. You'll see more than 11,000 referrals to partner sites, 27% increase in organic partner referrals from last month, and look at the increase in events, 65% increase in organic event partner referrals. People are so stoked to get back to Reno events this summer, and we are thrilled that most of our events are committed to taking place once again this year. Harvesting data differentiates successful tourism organizations, and many of you know that we utilize Arrivalist to track arrivals to our region, to analyze visitor data, and we can monitor arrivals after media exposure. And just looking at March, Arrivalist tracked more than 72,000 arrivals that were exposed to our winter advertising efforts. All right, looking ahead, here's how we're ramping up between now and the end of fiscal year in June. Total ad impressions for the entire fiscal year are going to exceed 430 million. You'll see a heavy shift, a shift to heavy up on custom content and video. I'll touch more on those in the coming slides, but I want to call out that from a programmatic standpoint, we will be leveraging our media buying agency BVK's own ad serving platform called Trade Desk, which will serve content and allows cost savings from not needing to go out to a third party to distribute ads to these brand partner websites. These logos displayed are just a few of the examples of the brands we are partnering with as part of our advertising initiatives and content series between now and the end of June. So 25% of our advertising spend is going to go to video, as video increasingly becomes, it's a high conversion channel now with effective storytelling capabilities. It's not just your awareness channel anymore. So take a moment to think if you have signed up for connected TV service this past year, maybe binged a series, maybe you even canceled your cable. Well, you're not alone. Cable down and is down, and connected TV is rising quicker than ever, with a sustained increase forecasted for the next few years, as you'll see on the slide. So we have prioritized and positioned ourselves on digital video promotion. And you'll see on the screen an example of a few of the major networks where our videos will be displayed. Influencer marketing, specifically coming out of the pandemic, is becoming an increasingly essential component of the destination marketing mix. And this is our sweet spot, bringing influencers and brands to our area, having them experience the destination in real time, capturing authentic content. This is where we can highlight up-to-date protocols, proper mask wearing, openness of the city, and showcasing the wide open spaces in the outdoors. For example, Jasmine Puck, shown on the right. She's a main contributor for Tasty, which has 98 million followers. She also has 43,000 followers of her own on Instagram. She is a viral creator for food, travel, wellness, and sustainability initiatives. And she's coming here to do a takeover on BuzzFeed's channels and experiencing the Reno Tahoe destination. You'll see Weekend Sherpa, who has a strong California following, and Matador Network are also coming to market to capture new content with key influencers and brand partners to maximize exposure and messaging. So Mike Largetta will go into more detail about where we are at with meetings and convention sales, but I just want to briefly highlight that we've ramped up advertising efforts for groups as well. Again, we are digitally focused for flexibility, which has allowed us to continually update messaging as restrictions lift and capacities increase. Okay, so what's next? Coming out of the pandemic, we cannot be tone deaf. We cannot launch the same ads we were running prior to COVID. And after deep diving into data and traveler sentiment with our agency BVK, we've discovered travelers are seeking more enriched experiences now more than ever. There's a greater demand for more dynamic experiences, specifically in the outdoors. It's time to reconnect, re-engage, reignite, renew, rebook, and recharge. I'm sure you all know where I'm going here. We are using re-words to redefine our destination. After all, Reno Tahoe begins with re, so let's refresh what that means. This is a progressive destination that's constantly in motion, reinventing, re-exploring, and reimagining the future. It's why ambitious people thrive here, and it's why vacationers revel in it. So travelers increasingly are expecting highly curated, customized destination content. And this campaign allows us that flexibility and targeted approach. For example, when we recharge in our own unique ways, whether it's connecting with family and friends, stretching our imaginations through art and culture, or getting lost in nature. So this is the new vision board for our new campaign. It's bright, it's vibrant, bold, energetic, and it's happy. You can see we are integrating neon into our captivating imagery, and that's something unique to our destination that we can own and capitalize off of. So I'm going to kick it off with showing you a quick 6-second video example to give you an idea of how the visual elements will work with the neon light flares and word reveals. Yes, word reveals that will ultimately reveal our logo, Reno Tahoe. This short video is a pre-roll ad, meaning that it's an ad that you watch before your YouTube video or your online news segment. It's designed to move super quick and to be attention grabbing. So I hope we can play it for you. Here we are. I'm going to play it one more time just because it's so quick, and I just want you guys to notice the light flares and the treatments on this. So you'll see that we're staying in line with our brand values that we know resonates so well with our target audience, but this adds a spark of new energy. If you can, thank you. So now take that visual treatment that you just saw and apply those visuals to these sneak peek screenshots of our new digital ads. Yes, they will be animated similarly to what you just saw. The neon line moving with new motivational words reveals that will eventually uncover our logo, beginning with RE, Reno Tahoe. We are still building these out, so I appreciate your patience, but I worked with BVK to turn them around in record time to be able to show you today. We have surfing downtown, climbing Burning Man art, riverwalk dining, playing outdoor games, all activities that recharge the soul. Here are a few more examples with a slightly different treatment with the neon and new words that start with re. Reimagine, renew, redefine, reawaken, and replay with a nod to gaming, of course. And we're also using these treatments in our CTAs, resist routine for our call action. These work so well for social media too, where the neon is increasingly becoming popular, and we can though claim neon integration authentically with our destination. So the next generation of travelers are more aware of their impact on the communities and environment they visit. It's essential we acknowledge the sustainability efforts happening throughout our region right now, from the lake to the Truckee River and beyond. For example, these posts, I'll just give you a quick example and like read what this one says. Seeking a little recharge courtesy of Mother Nature, in Reno Tahoe, we say go for it, responsibly, with respect to the land, yourself, and others. Consider it a refresher course. And so this will link to content on our website on how to be a mindful traveler and just expose all there is to do here. Here's another one, highlighting kayaking in downtown Reno and hiking trails and sparks, while speaking to tips on hitting the trails responsibly. So video is coming, the new currency of destination marketing and storytelling. And with our big investment in video, 25% here through the rest of the fiscal year, we will be producing 4 video spots. They are still in the works, but I'm going to show you the 6-second spot again now that you have more of a mix as to what the look we're going for. Again, this will be used as pre-roll. So again, these are the short videos that you might see on connected TV or a YouTube tutorial or a social media post. And we will have longer versions of these videos that will be coming out very shortly, a couple 15s and another 6. And this campaign will start rolling out next week. We are putting finishing touches on it this week, and that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you. And next up, we have Ben McDonald to discuss public relations.
Thanks, Christina. Good morning, everybody. Ben McDonald, Director of Communications.
And I think, Ben, sorry to jump in. I think we had a question from somebody from the board.
Yes, I have a question if you don't mind, Charles. And Christina, thank you. I'm excited by the motive. I think that's terrific, very clever, and really works. I just have one question. I don't know what the average age or consumer profile is of people coming to Reno, but I know a significant portion of people like myself who are well over 30. And in all these photos, people look so beautiful, so fit, so athletic, that I'm wondering if it isn't a bit intimidating for those who might come to visit or seek out everything you're talking about, who look more like me and less like that beautiful woman on a paddleboard. And have you ever thought about using middle-aged people or other people to figure in these ads?
Absolutely. So with the intention with this particular is we're going off of our previous campaign that we have launched when we rebranded just a couple of years ago. When we rebranded, we went through so much research that I won't go through today, but it really spoke to how we needed to focus on the 25 to 49-year-old demographic, because the people who were above that demographic generally had an idea of what we were. People who were in this demographic didn't have an opinion either way. They didn't think one way or another of our destination. So we really, in terms of targeting our efforts, we decided to really change perception and brand awareness within that segment. And so that's where we're focusing this. And we have seen in the research that brand awareness has been proven to be highly effective. With that being said, we are definitely not tone deaf to any of that. We still do photography shoots that are very inclusive, M&C especially, of course, and tour and travel. And we integrate all of those photos as well on our leisure side as well. I would just say it's not our front-facing campaign, but it's definitely something that we still promote through our social media channels, throughout our website, throughout our email campaigns, and throughout other digital channels where we are more engaged with them instead of that brand awareness platform, if that makes sense.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And if I could also jump in to that, one of the things that when I reviewed with Christina, I did notice also that focus segment on that population. And Christina heard it from me, what I asked, and that's based upon research, right? To diversify a little bit of our messaging, not moving away from our core, but adding in the older segment, specifically because there's a lot of money that is available to the baby boomers and around that, I fall into that segment. And so part of the go forward strategy is to be able to photograph, shoot, and diversify a little bit of that content to meet other segments that we know will come here. And that's taking nothing away from the great effort that BBK and Christina has done, but it's a little bit more of diversification to know that there is money that's there and to reach a wider audience. And you'll see that moving forward when we come up with new campaigns. Well,
that's great. I appreciate that. And Christina, congratulations. I think your work is terrific. And I'm not offering to be in one of your ads. I just think there's a lot of disposable income in people 40 and over, and they're coming here for business and to visit. Their grandparents coming to visit. Hopefully some segment of your marketing will address an older age range. Beautiful older people.
Absolutely. And we are always, is build off of the research, build off of the data, and make sure you're going off of that. So we absolutely will have that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Charles, just a quick question if I can as well. Do you want to save questions to the end of all the staff presentations?
Yeah, to be honest, can we get through the staff presentation and then I'll ask everyone to open it up for questions?
Great, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. It's just, and I know what we're trying to accomplish, but let's just let staff get through it and then we'll open it up. Okay, go ahead. I think Mike, Mr. Larraguetta, it's your turn. Am I correct?
Actually, we're up with Ben McDonald on PR.
Oh, there we are, Ben. Sorry. Go ahead. It's
That's
all your
okay.
show.
I promise I'll be brief.
No, it's all your show. Take it away.
Ben McDonald, Director of Communications, again for the record. Thank you all. So from a public relations perspective, we are open. We have not stopped pushing travel. Of course, in April and May of last year, we did not directly promote travel, but we continued laying the groundwork for future reopening messaging, hinging on when you're ready to travel type messaging. This June piece that hit in Travel and Leisure last year highlighted Reno and Lake Tahoe as on the list of best places to travel in July. That's part of our proactive outreach. Travel and Leisure that month reached about 6 million people, and the rest of that coverage that you see was through syndication on MSN and MSN Travel Canada, which boosted the reach of that piece to about 195 million people. So the successes of our public relations efforts are focused on proactive media placement, relying heavily on the work of our national PR agency of record, the Decker Royal Agency. This fiscal year, we've reached 83 proactive stories, achieved 83 proactive stories with a reach of 3.1 billion, which seems very high, again, though we consider that MSN accounts for 2.1 billion of that in 11 syndicated stories this fiscal year. So MSN is really broadening our reach. Yahoo does that as well. Media FAMs are certainly one of the most effective tactics that we still have for acquiring that coverage, which has been a challenge this year. A lot of media has been hesitant to travel, but we feel that it's making a comeback. We're gaining some momentum on that front. They want to feel the destination. Media want to have real experiences to write about. And so we've only had 5 visits this fiscal year, 17 visits last fiscal year in an abridged year, where we typically see about 25 media coming through. And that's individual trips, that's media FAMs that we plan around special events, summer events, and ski in the winter as well. So we have 4 additional being planned right now, Business Insider, Trip Savvy, Reader's Digest, as well as another potential partnership with a writer from Southern California and JSX, which you can see an example of here. We brought a writer in from Southern California, focused on air service in this one, and got some pretty good coverage out of that relating to the air service that we have coming into our destination from that region. Desk side visits are another tactic that we use to leverage media in direct service cities. I'm not sure when this practice is going to be acceptable again, when we can go to somebody's office in market or meet up at a coffee shop. But as soon as they're willing to entertain us, we'll be we'll be in their offices and in their cities, asking them to come see us here in Reno Tahoe. And of course, this tactic will also be dependent on what our budgets allow moving forward. So moving forward on a national level, PR is all about leveraging opportunities. President of U.S. Travel, Roger Dow, had an appearance at the January board meeting and really talked about Reno Tahoe's draw of wide open spaces and natural beauty. And so we used that opportunity to secure 3 interviews with feature coverage, which you can see the Travel Pulse feature here from March, and then another story from Preview Magazine, and then another from Meetings Today last month, which also takes us into Meetings and Conventions coverage, as we continue to raise awareness for this destination by leveraging these opportunities, which include bringing on a new CEO, which helped us get into a smart meetings feature, which was really cool, looking at tourism executives growing into new markets during the pandemic. And as we continue to talk about our wide open spaces and ample meeting space, using Governor Sisolak's announcement that just this last month about the June reopening, to help tell the story about events that we already have coming back, which you can see here from April 19th with Tradeshows News Network, reinforcing the fact that we are open. We are regularly engaging with about 20,000 active emails and multiple newsletter distributions, meetings and conventions. We hit bi-monthly, nearly 12,000 meetings and event planners. Tour and travel trade runs quarterly, as well as an individual air service update each time we get new air service, going out to 6,000 emails of travel operators. And this is in addition to the mail pound distributions to travel agents, which Art will hit on later in this presentation. Sports events, we're touching them quarterly, more than 680 planners and event producers. And then our new efforts here locally, daily and weekly emails going out to the staff and board, which I hope you're receiving. And then also each Thursday, we're sending those emails a much broader version to about 400 local professionals in the area, touching on destination and industry updates. We're also focusing on promoting some of that outbound air service. 45% of our flights seats, I believe, are outbound seats. So we're trying to fill those on the way out and the way back in. Really help bolster that and support that air service. And of course, this is all about engaging the local community regarding RSCVA activities and tourism related interests. We've activated engaging communications across these various platforms: meetings and conventions, travel trade, sports, national consumer media, local media, emphasizing RSCVA driven activity and leveraging partnerships like that of the RSCVA and the airport, where our CEOs, Charles Harris and Darren Griffin, have been doing some behind the scenes media meetings, meeting with some of the executives in our local area to introduce them to the region's new tourism executives, and also talk about what's going on behind the scenes here at RSCVA from a tourism perspective. And from a communication standpoint, all these add up to what our job really is to gather the facts about what the RSCVA is doing as an organization, what's going on in our tourism community, telling that story through these major pillars as we collaborate, continue to nurture local partnerships. Even through the challenges of this pandemic, it's brought us closer to some of our regional partners. In the communications department, we continue to have weekly meetings with regional communications professionals. That's the cities, the county, health districts, school district, healthcare providers. We want to ensure we're staying up to date and that we're providing the most accurate information to our potential visitors about public health and safety of our community. It's of the utmost importance as we continue to tell the reopening story of Reno Tahoe. And it's my pleasure to move on to RSCVA Vice President of Sales, Mike Largetta.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, everybody. For the record, Mike Largetta, Vice President of Sales. Today, in my sales update and recovery plan, I'm going to focus on 4 key areas: production, activity, booking incentives, and marketing. So jumping right into production, definite room nights that we have contracted for year to date through March of 2021 is just north of 121,000 against a goal of a 148,784, which puts us at a pace of 82% to goal. As the state of Nevada's group gathering protocols have eased the past few months, we have been able to host 2 significant programs. The Northern California Volleyball Association, or better known as NCVA to most of us, held 2 tournaments the past 3 weekends, and has a third scheduled May 6th through 11th. These 3 tournaments represented 1,110 teams, 13,500 athletes, over 10,000 coaches and family members, and 18,000 plus room nights for an overall economic impact of $10.7 million. I'd like to specifically recognize our Director of Sports Development, Shelley Fine, and our Director of Sales for our facilities, Renee McGinnis, and their respective teams for their tireless efforts in preparation and fulfillment that resulted in the success of these 3 events. USBC has returned to Reno. The largest convention and meet in Reno over the past 25 years returned with the US Open, followed by the Masters Tournament and the Women's Championships, which will run through July 4th. These 3 tournaments represent over 18,000 room nights, $32 million in economic impact. In addition, the US Open and Masters were also nationally televised on Fox Sports 1. There are numerous groups scheduled to meet from May through December of 2021, but I wanted to highlight the California Narcotics Officers Association, who's a large program and will hold our annual Training Institute and Law Enforcement Expo November 17th through 24th. This group will have over 1,600 attendees, 6,000 contracted room nights, and an economic impact over $6 million. As we all know, most destinations across the country have struggled to both maintain and book meetings and sporting events during the pandemic. Our area has been an exception to that scenario. A combination of our staff's persistence, relationships, hotel partners' flexibility, and the state of Nevada's business and industry division's cooperation and revised group gathering protocols, we have been able to contract over 56,000 room nights that were booked this fiscal year and will consume by December of 2021. USA Climbing, the Youth Adult Library Service Association, and Airport Council International are 3 examples of these such groups. So what years are the groups that were booked from July 2020 through March of 2021 contract to meet in? 59,000 plus room nights, or 54%, will consume their business in 2021. 12,000 or 12% in 2022, 11,000 or 10% in 23, and just under 20,000 or 18% in 2024. The remaining balance are on the books for the years of 2025 and 2028. Travel restrictions for both staff and clients forced the team to get creative to remain engaged with meeting planners, third parties, and decision makers. From June of 2020 through February of this year, the team held 7 virtual events, hosting over 211 clients. These virtual events were meant to be informative, interesting, and most importantly, fun. We reached out to our local who's who, from Mayor Sheedy to Chef Mark Esty, Dustin Vance of Dorinda's Chocolates, and our local yoga guru, Angie Fraley, to moderate these virtual events. Keeping in line with the virtual theme, Business Development Director Marcus Johnson held numerous webinars with leaders in the lead generation space, such as Conference Direct, Helms Briscoe, and American Express. These webinars focused on destination updates and were conducted from September through March, reaching 200 plus meeting planners. Existing and new booking incentives were promoted through email campaigns, social media, direct communication, and our Visit Reno Tahoe website. Incentive highlights included the Plan with Confidence program, which I must say, all major hotels in the Washoe County participated. This program promoted the ease and flexibility of booking meetings and sporting events at our hotels. Cash signing bonuses for programs of 1,000 more room nights, come see, fly free, and 10% commissions on room rates were also highlighted throughout the year. As we move into fiscal year 21-22, we are happy to announce we have signed a 3-year strategic partnership with ASAE, the American Society of Association Executives, and 1-year agreements with PCMA and MPI, the Meeting Professionals International. These programs provide unique exposure at signature events through customized partnerships rights and extensive access to association members and professional meeting planners. The RSCVA has access to customized benefits, which are designed to specifically meet the goals and objectives of the meeting and convention sales team. Our regional directors located throughout the country are also heavily engaged with these organizations, on the regional level with chapter sponsorships. For the first time since 2014, we are establishing a new customer advisory board, better known as a CAB. The RSCVA sales team has been working diligently with tourism industry veteran Terry Brining to start the Reno Tahoe Customer Advisory Board. The sales team has evaluated prospective members, and this month we extended invitations to 27 meeting and convention decision makers to join this new board. I'm happy to report that of the 27 invitations issued, we have 25 commitments and 2 declined due to company policy. This is truly a testament to the interest in our region as a viable meeting destination. So what are we asking for from this group? We want them to provide in-person feedback and suggestions on how to best position Reno Tahoe in the meetings industry. We want them to evaluate existing branding, advertising, and sales initiatives. We want them to share trends impacting organizations and meeting planners and how to best address those trends. And we want them to discuss with our hotel partners on the best way hotels and CVBs can collaborate to win business. Our goal is to host our first in-person meeting this summer, June or July. This slide says it all. We are open and it's game time. The sales team is working in unison with the marketing team to initiate a media campaign to communicate that we are ready to host your business. We will be utilizing all available media outlets to reach existing and prospective clients, including paid search, email blast to our existing database through our CRM tool Acton, and through our new strategic partnerships, which I mentioned earlier, ASAE, PCMA, and MPI. That concludes my presentation. I'll turn it over to Mr. Jimenez. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Thank you. For the record, Art Jimenez, Executive Director of Tourism Sales, and I too will talk about where we've been and where we're going in this channel. But first, I'm going to jump into room night production. So room nights reported from our major hotel partners for March are 42,880. And year to date, we're at 351,937 room nights. The March room nights are nearly 5,400 more room nights than last March. OTA and travel agent GDS room nights continue to represent 96% of third-party bookings to the destination. And all the research that we're seeing tells us that these two channels will grow to 2019 levels faster than other channels. Also, the third-party market segment continues to represent nearly 30% of the overall market mix year to date for the destination. Partnership marketing. We continue to leverage long-standing relationships into favorable ROI. We are now always on with Expedia with either a call to action or branding message. We've also increased our frequency with Priceline and Sabre, and we've worked closely with Travel Nevada in their interstate OTA travel initiatives. July through March, we invested just over $117,000, and our hotel and travel partners matched our funds for more than a 4-to-1 ratio to generate over $500,000 of added media value. Year to date, we've booked over 134,000 room nights directly tied to our programming, generating room revenues of nearly $13 million. And also yesterday, Expedia announced that Reno Tahoe was one of the top 3 DMOs that have successfully pooled the resources to recover and rebuild. The other 2 are St. Lucia and Visit Portugal. A travel agent community. So long ago, we recognized that we have a much needed extended sales force with our travel agent community. It's a sales force that was hungry for information during the pandemic. So we continue to educate these agents with very relevant messaging. Since our destination was fortunate to bring back air service, we stepped up our air service notifications, which continue to be well received. We also dialed up our wide open space messaging and provided agents with selling tools, getting them ready for recovery. And this communication was consistent with working with Mailpound, as Ben mentioned previously, and that includes about 50,000 agents in their network. OTA search for our destination continues to be on the rise, which is no surprise, largely due to our paid media strategy. Paid media is designed to impact consumer search to spur interest and eventually lead to bookings. Today, travelers turn to OTAs for trip planning 24% more than before the pandemic. Longer booking windows are more prevalent, and Expedia data shows that search for trips to the Reno Tahoe area has increased by more than 45%. And 41% of search is for 21 days or longer, which is what we strive for. Not only is OTA search up, so is demand for placement. We have secured OTA media for short and long-term programming, which puts us in a very good position. As I mentioned, since OTAs and travel agents continue to represent over 96% of all tourism-produced room nights, we will continue to implement aggressive efforts in these distribution channels and will continue to target travel intenders in alignment with our consumer marketing. We have spring campaigns in place to kick off summer and run through fiscal year 22, especially during our traditional need periods. We're also fortunate that the Reno Tahoe International Airport is rebounding nicely. The airport has announced that come this June, we'll see additional service compared to June of 2019, with 24 destinations versus 21, 8,600 average daily enplanement seats versus 8,300, and 72 average daily flights versus 68. As vaccines increase and travel restrictions ease, we can now step up the sales mission planning process. The convention and tourism teams will be planning joint sales missions in our key air service markets. Both meeting planners and travel agents will be invited to our client development events. We will continue to mine our data to invite agents currently selling the destination and those with the propensity to do so. We'll be participating in 7 trade shows. The National Tourist Association will be handing off their annual trade show to the RSCVA this November in Cleveland, as the convention heads back to Reno Sparks in November of 2022. And Go West Summit will be here next February for the second time since 2017. Since our new CEO now sits on the U.S. Travel Board, we will have a stronger presence at IPW this September in Las Vegas. In the short term, these trade shows will draw tour operators and media primarily from domestic markets looking for wide open space destinations, but will also include operators from international markets priming to sell beyond 2021 and 2022. And finally, seeing is believing. To take full advantage of IPW being held in Las Vegas this year, we will be co-hosting a pre-fam with Travel Nevada. Approximately 30 IPW pre-fam attendees, which will consist of tour operators, media, and influencers, will be invited. These clients will begin their IPW convention in our destination and will then be flown on to Las Vegas to begin their show. That concludes my presentation.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we're coming back. Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say I am so impressed with everyone's presentations. Amazing. And Courtney, I wanted to say fantastic job. Really, really proud of you. And also, I'm so glad that you recognize Trent LaFerrier. He's like this rock star in the background that, you know, we don't get to see much, but he's really amazing. So the board needs to know that. We are so lucky to have him. But all of you guys, like, seriously, like, knocked it out of the park. Before we move on, I do want to just ask, Corey, do you have that video of Roy? Because, I mean, you guys should know Roy. He is phenomenal, and we're so lucky to have him. Christina, what a score. But I know that's because you have great relationships with people. So if you have it, let's see if we can play it.
Thank you. Yes, we'll see if we can give it another shot, team.
My name is Roy Tuscany. I'm the CEO and founder of the High Fives Foundation, based here in Reno Tahoe, a national 501c3 that has the vision of being the safety net of the outdoor sports community. You know, when you first arrive here at Reno Tahoe, the airport makes it so easy for you to navigate where your trip's gonna lead you. I believe one of the best things that exist here is that there are no barriers. The barriers that usually exist are taken away from the infrastructure and organizations that are here in this area that really provide you with that experience so that you feel like truly you are adapting and overcoming. Reno Tahoe is a hub for adventure. I find myself mountain biking, fly fishing, and just enjoying the lake in the summer. And then when it comes to the winter, well, there's no better way to explore than sliding on snow. To make this Reno Tahoe adventure yours and to adapt and overcome, go to the website, visit renotahoe.com.
Nice. I absolutely love it, love it, love it. And, you know, I want to say thank you to Art because your son had a, you know, massive impact on what we've done with promoting, you know, the region for people that have disabilities and how we're inclusive. And, you know, I mean, honestly, you should be so proud of Eric. So a lot of people may not know that, but Eric's son has done a phenomenal job. And if it wasn't for him, you know, I don't think that we would have even understood the importance of how that type of tourism was really essential. And people are talking about it nationally, which is awesome. So Art, you should be a proud papa because I love Eric and he's amazing, amazing, amazing.
Pass that on to him.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. So thank you. But I absolutely love that. And I love Christina, like perfect demo on that and just feeling the landscape and sort of, it's just such a very good, feel good environment. So thank you so much. And then I would just say, I love what BBK has done collaboration with you, Christina and Ben, because I know you guys worked hard with BBK. I think it's awesome. The neon is like hitting it so hard. You are killing it. I know that sounds crazy, like, you know, I'm around too many teenagers these days, but you're doing a great job. I mean, it's awesome work and it really resonates and it's just great. It's fantastic. So anyway, at this time I want to speed through because I know that the board probably has a lot of questions, but I want to just say I'm so proud of the entire team for such great presentations. So I hope you're proud, Charles, because it was great. Okay, I'm going to go with Rick Murdoch. I don't know where you are. I feel like we're on like Hollywood Squares or something. And most of you, if you're probably not over a certain age, won't know what Hollywood Squares is. So I'm going to go to Rick Murdoch. See, poor Courtney, her face is like.
No, I watched it as a kid.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So,
anyway, go ahead, Rick.
so Mayor, does that mean that I'm a Hollywood Square gray-haired guy?
Yes. No.
So I want to ask Ann, can I get in the pictures with you? Careful what you ask for. We're going to put you both in it.
Will be perfect, Rick.
Well, hey, I want to just quick comment. Great presentation, Courtney, and I'll tell you what, the rest of the team, you guys, wonderful presentation, and it's refreshing to see we're coming out of this whatever COVID doom and gloom we've been in, and now we're getting back to business, and so exciting, and what you've done with our advertising and your team there, Charles, you guys, I'll tell you what, it's been great. And Christina, great job. Shout out to you guys. But anyway, a couple questions. You know, I'll tell you what we found out, because we are still in the gaming business, and I know Shannon and Mark, you're on here as board members. What we're seeing too is interesting, and there's a new company that developed these electronic games of 21 craps, and you can't believe who's playing them, the young people. So a suggestion back to the game, we've seen it here, especially I see it at downtown Reno, I see it at Tamarack. These young people, they live in apartments or they're coming around. They all love these new electronic games. Might be something for all of us to think about, maybe moving that around into that zone, because they love it. And it's just not about kayak in the river. It might be coming and playing that video game. So it's good tax for everybody. That's all I'm saying, rooms and so forth. So interesting that that's taken off, and I do appreciate all that. Also, you know, great, we might be a time for us to look at, we've got our events all pushed back now. We've pushed everything back into probably August for a lot of these events. The bigger ones might have some money set aside in this budget to help our bigger events. Street Vibe, Hot August, Rib Cook-Off, Brew Fest, Italian Fest, because people do stay. Those are overnight visitations. Everything got pushed down. We might want to look at that. And then I know Charles and we just chatted lightly, but we might want to get some kind of a fund together for new events, because as we're evolving, we need new stuff. I really do. I think we've got to start developing our own, whether it's a new hunting and fishing convention or it's a new bike festival at the RSCVA. We got to do this stuff. Love it, love it, love it. And the bowlers, gosh,
great job, Charles and team. Want to tell you what a great job and you did. And using the bowlers as testimonials and things. If you look at their, going back, Ann, it's you and I were on some of
I'm telling you, they're all over 50.
I know.
Who bowls? Who's
Yeah.
25 and bowls?
I did see a lot of young people in the bowling lanes, but I also saw a lot of people that might have looked closer to my age. But so we are visiting Reno Tahoe, gang.
Hey, Rick, if I could just make a comment, Rick, great comments. And what you saw today is a sample of everything we're doing, trying to cover off on a high level. We know that we need to be authentic to our destination, and certainly gaming is an important part of that. And that is baked into our marketing plans. What I didn't want the team to do is do a 2-hour presentation, right? So part of what you'll see going forward certainly is gaming, and we'll look at those electronic games and how we interact with that moving forward. There might be some social opportunities of how we can push that out there. In terms of the events, one of the things that I've challenged the team with is not only we had, I think, 32 events that just applied for funding, and we just closed that for the coming year. But part of the discussion we've had internally is, and you and I briefly talked about it, is how do we set aside a small percentage of that to encourage new events and new participants to step up as we want to grow new opportunities. So we'll continue to look at that. And as time provides, we could go down the road where we formalize that and bring that to the board for what future events might hold.
And thank you, Charles. And I'm saying also, you guys, we've got to include the university on developing new events, whether it's using the baseball stadium as an NCAA playoff venue. I mean, we've got to start tapping into our backyard. I think that would really help us. And I appreciate one other side of the airport push you guys are doing. The airport's super important. Talked to an executive of Southwest. The MAX 8s are back. Watch the Boeing stock, you guys. It's funny, kidding. But you got to look at the MAX 8s are back. They're looking for destinations, and Reno is very ripe. People think Reno's somewhat rural, so they all want to visit here. It's kind of coming out of COVID. People want to get out, and they view Reno as the Wild West rural. So it's kind of cool that people are coming here. But the airport is so important, and those MAX 8s are coming back into service. We're going to have some opportunities. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, if anyone wants to speak, just raise your hand. Go ahead, Shannon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Ann and I were sharing a brain for a moment because her feedback earlier was exactly what I was going to say. So BBK did an amazing job. I am super impressed with that campaign, the and the neon, phenomenal. But just like others have said, it is not only is it this one age demo, but also it's focusing mostly on outdoors, which does get most likes and most shares and all that other kind of stuff. But, there's a lot of people who don't want to be outdoors and they'd rather be indoors. So being able to go across different age demos and different activities besides just outdoors, I think is important. But I would like to know, so did we hire BBK just for this specific campaign, or do we work with them all throughout the year? How does that work?
We do work with them all throughout the year, and thank you for that. And so they are our integrated brand agency, and then they are also our media buying agency. So we work with them on both levels. We have several year contracts with them signed at a time. And so they work with us throughout the year. They were the ones who launched our campaign, our new branding a few years ago. And we definitely hear you guys. And again, we always look at the research and going with that. We are doing a new shoot here in June, and definitely expanding upon, just layering it in. We're not done. Even this campaign, going into meetings and conventions, re-engage, reconnect. This was just the tip of the iceberg that we were sharing with you all today. Like I said, the ads aren't even 100% done at this point, but we are working on that, and we hear you, and you will see more of that diversity integrated throughout. And addition to the outdoors. Right now, we're focusing on the outdoors just because that's what people are looking for primarily at this point in time. But we have a whole series of ads that I'll continue to show you guys over the next couple of months as we progress this campaign of showcasing everything that our destination has to offer beyond that, with the nod to gaming, with the indoor, like with dining and nightlife, and all of that. We have more to it. I just showed a couple of snapshots.
No, it was, I'm usually pretty critical when it comes to the marketing stuff, at least with my team. So they did a really phenomenal job, truly. My other question is on the, like, speaking about reopening, I'm assuming all of this is getting put together knowing that we still are not allowed to reopen, right? So like, I'm not exactly sure who from the RSCVA is working with the county to try to get us open, considering that Washoe is one of the few counties in the state that did not get their plans submitted.
Yeah, Shannon, there's a few of us that are working through the elected officials, and whether it's preparing information, background, or having conversations, there's a few of us that have gone down that path.
Okay, great. And then my only one more question, this is for Ed. The 24% increase in people using OTAs compared to I'm sorry, this is for Art. I don't know why I said Ed. 24% increase to OTAs compared to pre-pandemic. What is causing that stat? I hadn't heard that until now.
I think that as people have more and more free time and to go out and search the internet and they look for aspirational travel, they just tend to go where they probably saw the last advertisement on TV or on their phones. And in Expedia and Priceline have robust budgets, and they haven't slowed down throughout the pandemic. So I think it's top of mind, and they're going there, and they're probably going there more than pre-pandemic.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
All right, Charlene, you want to weigh in?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I just have to tell the team what an incredible job. And for me being brand new on this board, I really appreciated the fact it gave me insight. I see all your titles in your departments, but I don't know what that means. And when I see all the different sales and marketing and PR, this really helped define for me specifically what each of you were doing. So for my knowledge base on this board, it was really, really helpful. I also would like to, you were talking about new events. And I don't know if I think you ought to consider, and maybe you are already, working with the cities. I know that the city of Sparks, and I'm sure the mayor can speak for Reno, we have our own, working with our special events, especially in our downtown cores. What events the city, big and small, there are a lot of events, everyone knows the big ones, but they're smaller events that we've been cultivating. Honey and Lavender Festival just grew, Pumpkin Palooza are things that are recent, but we are always looking for new events. And that's something I could see a collaborative approach or working together. And then the question on for the reopening plan that Shannon just asked, I did just get an email from our city manager that Washoe County has a meeting Friday morning to reconsider the plan that they will be the COVID reopening plan. So Friday morning, they're scheduled to make a decision on that. So hopefully we'll all have an answer and know where we move from here. So thank you very much.
Councilwoman Bybee, we'll all be together up at our joint meeting at the end of the week. And so we could all find out together kind of where we go from there.
Madam
All
Chair.
right. Go ahead, Andy.
Thank you. And like the rest of the board that's spoken, you guys have done a great job on this effort. It's really appreciated. It's been a long haul since last March, and I know that it's been a tough time on all of us and all of the staffs particularly, so thank you for that. A few questions, and I'll try to keep them somewhat concise. First for Christine, a few. On the media plan that you're getting ready to push out, what are the specific markets that you are targeting? And is there any midweek conversation in that, trying to drive more midweek business than weekends, since we know the bulk of our travel does happen on the weekends? And then also, do we have an understanding of what the current booking window looks like? I know those 3 questions in one, sorry.
Yep, I'll try to remember all of them. So starting with the first one, so our marketing is a radius approach. So in a kind of with some heavy ups in key target markets. So it's really flexible and nimble. The radius approach is primarily the West Coast, with heavy ups in the Bay Area, Southern California, LA, Las Vegas as well. And these are all flexible depending on how people are interacting in real time, and we're shifting money around all the time. But we do have those heavy ups. In addition to that is key airline markets that we have direct flights to. And there we are targeting the airport travelers. So we're gonna, it's complicated, but so we have this layered approach. So, you know, we're going out and targeting people who are intending to travel. And then with that, how do they align within our brand and our set metrics that we have for our target audience. With that, we are seeing right now, booking windows are still short, you know, from the research and all that we are seeing out there, you know, less than 30 days on our arrival list data. I don't have the percentages in front of me, but that is what we're seeing on our arrival list data as well, is it's pretty much like within a month's turnaround, usually 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 4, but that's what we're seeing right now. And absolutely, we are trying to, you know, with the shifts in business travel and leisure travel, and trying to fill those gaps midweek, trying to highlight as people have more flexible work schedules potentially right now, and the work from home, and that you can work from wherever, of course, not being leisurely active the whole time, but we absolutely are targeting those people as well, especially in California, as they have more tight restrictions than us as of right now. And even some of those major companies we've all seen have kind of shut their doors, maybe permanently, and they're making some huge adjustments. We're looking at that traffic.
Great. And I would imagine the bulk of it, as I think you mentioned, is digital. And I would assume you're doing a mix of acquisition branding efforts and retargeting efforts, depending on, you know, when they're coming in and all that. So that's great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And then just a little bit with my Tahoe hat on for a moment. One of the things we've talked about, not only with our North Lake Tahoe partners, but with our Lake Tahoe partners in general, is looking at what we anticipate to be a very strong and busy summer season without much prodding of the customer and visitors to get up here. We were hit pretty hard last summer as people looked for an escape out of the city. Yes, more places are open now, but we do anticipate that to still continue. In fact, we have made the decision to not place any paid media for this summer again. I mean, we obviously canceled all of our media last March. We came back in the fall and have pushed a little bit into the spring. So kind of a twofold question and request would be, as we are doing paid media and we're using Tahoe imagery, I would ask that we potentially try to shift that kind of effort more towards a spring and fall effort. Well, fall first as we get out of the summertime. Again, we will reassess that in a few months to see if that's really coming to fruition, but we have the anticipation and working with all the land managers around the lake in anticipation of what we're going to see this summer. So I would suggest that. But on the other side, I would also encourage, you know, Tahoe is not the neon vision of some of the Reno messages that you showed, which was great. And I'm sure there's other things in the tank to be shot out once we get out of the summertime. So just wanted to, again, thank you for everything you guys are doing, and just kind of talk a little bit about what we anticipate Tahoe might look like this summer.
Absolutely. I know we're all seeing, I mean, that increase coming this summer. I mean, just our airlines alone, we're seeing more air traffic coming to our region, and we'll all talk about it more on Friday, getting into that deeper dive, but we are absolutely aware of it. Today, you know, I didn't go through our whole assets, but Tahoe, we have very minimal, and it's the only time it is, anytime we show Tahoe, it's with a recreate responsible message. We are not showing it in any other way. We're not, because we are trying to manage that as well. We know they will come here. They are coming here. The airlines are opening up for them to come here. So how can we mitigate that and educate them on responsible travel? And then we are also working on, with some of our content buys where we have more room to expand messaging. What else is there to do around here? Let's spread them out. Let's go out into the desert and to the cities and to beyond that area. So they may come here, they may realize how busy it is. And so how do we now shuffle people around? And so we are definitely taking all of that into effect. And
Yeah, I'm certainly not recommending we drop Tahoe from your efforts, but I think on your own channels are where we could really explain that safe travel and responsible travel, which is what we're doing as well. So thanks for that. And one other question, if I could, for Mr. Laranghetti on the cab, is that a list that can be shared? And I don't know if it is or not. And then the subsequent question on that, I would, are there meeting planner representatives on that cab that would relate to the type of business that is also, that we're also trying to acquire up here on the Tahoe portion, which is different than I know some, because you guys have a lot of rooms to fill and a lot of convention spaces to fill in Reno. It's a little different up here, as you know.
So Andy, so the answer to your first question as it relates to the list, yes, once we absolutely have everybody confirmed, locked in, which we've received verbal and email commitments. So we're pretty confident. Yes, we can share that with you, and we can share with all of the stakeholders at their request. In regards to the makeup of the CAB members, so we approached the team with the challenge of ensuring that we had a very diversified group. So we focused on representatives from corporate, association. We segmented sports out of it for reasons that we discussed internally. We thought that made a lot of sense, and if we might actually create a separate sports cab at one time, but right now we really wanted to focus on the M&C segment. But in addition to corporate, association, trade show, third parties, small, medium, and large programs that they represent, because we really wanted feedback from obviously a diverse group, right? We wanted feedback on our destination and our product and our amenities that was represented by people from all areas, all segments, and all industries. So yes, there definitely will be members on the cab that would be a good audience, a good member for the Tahoe product as well.
Great.
Hey, Andy, if I could just jump into that as well, because really we're looking at a long-term effort with this cab, right? They're going to give us honest feedback that we need to hear, and we need to make changes to make it even more a place that we can attract more folks. There is one member of the cab who's accepted who represents hundreds of group bookings across a very diverse atmosphere. So that will absolutely play part of it. And we will invite board members to parts of that cab to be able to hear and interact over time. And so whether it's events at GSR or up at the lake or other places over time, we will be able to interact, not as a fam, but really to introduce them in different settings that will hopefully appeal to each segment of not only the board, but the community, and will help bring additional business and create compression for everyone.
Great. Great. Thank you. And again, great work.
Anyone else? No? Okay, moving on. All right, Corey, I'm going to send it back to you. Where are we exactly?
Well, we are going to go back to item E1. Ms. Courtney Jaeger has a presentation on federal funding. We skipped ahead, so we're going to go back to item E1 with Courtney.
Okay, Courtney, take it away.
Courtney, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. All right, so hopefully everyone can see my screen. Good morning. For the record, this is Courtney Jaeger, Vice President of Finance. At our last board meeting, the board requested an update regarding our efforts to pursue federal assistance. I have been leading those efforts, so I will go ahead and give you a brief overview of each option that I've pursued and the current status of each option. For the sake of time, I plan to move through this quickly, but feel free to stop me for questions or clarifications. So here we have a listing of each of the federal assistance options that have been explored, including CARES funding, PPP loans, shuttered venue operator grants, as well as 2 options under the new American Rescue Plan Act. The first option for federal assistance that I explored was the CARES Act, which provided $2 trillion in economic stimulus funds, with $150 billion dedicated towards state and local governments. The RSCVA was obviously not eligible to receive a direct distribution of CRS funds, as those went to cities, states, and counties. Local governments that did not receive a direct distribution had to apply for funds on a reimbursement basis. We applied during October 2020, and we were not awarded funds. CRF funding definitely had some hiccups. One being that governments were rushed to spend the funding because of the original deadline of December 31st, 2020. There were concerns that governments would have to return unspent funds. However, an extension was signed into law that allows CRF monies to be spent through the end of calendar year 2021. We hoped that this extension might allow our request to be reconsidered, but we did not receive an award. I have maintained regular contact with the state of Nevada regarding CRF, and they're certainly keeping us in mind, along with other entities, for any opportunities to receive smaller allocations of CRF as the program winds down. The next option for federal assistance that I pursued was the Paycheck Protection Program. This is a loan program that is administered by the Small Business Administration. The first draw PPP loans did not allow local governments to apply. However, the Consolidated Appropriations Act was signed into law on December 27th. I reviewed that act in detail, and I noted language which actually allows local governments to apply for the second draw of PPP funding if the local government is engaged in destination marketing activities like we are. So this was great news, and it hadn't been widely advertised by the SBA. The next step was to review NRS 354 against the terms of the PPP loans. What I found was that the requirements of NRS 354.6256 regarding local governments and operating loans appear to prohibit the RSCVA from taking out a PPP loan. On this matter, I consulted with many sources, including the offices of 2 Nevada senators and RSCVA legal counsel. So we determined that taking out a PPP loan may be allowable if the board were to make a motion regarding the length of the loan term. I attempted to find a lender through the SBA lender match program, and as you can see on the screen, no lenders responded. I next reached out to our primary bank, and I was informed that even though the Consolidated Appropriations Act allowed for local governments to receive PPP loans, our primary bank, as well as many banking institutions, are not granting those loans to public sector clients. The SBA has extended PPP loan applications through May 31st. So I have once again reached out to the SBA to determine if they're able to provide further assistance regarding lender match, but it's really not looking like we'll receive a PPP loan. The next option I have pursued, and I'm still currently pursuing, is the Shuttered Venue Operator Grants Program. SVOG provides for $16 billion in grants to shuttered venue operators. During researching our eligibility for this program, I ran into a roadblock. The FAQ for SVOG stated that governments who acted solely as venue operators were eligible to apply, but governments who operated venues and performed other activities were ineligible. The example in the FAQ describes a Parks and Recreation department who operates a bandstand being ineligible because the department itself performs multiple functions and not just venue operation. I immediately reached out to our district SBA office director, and he informed me that the FAQ was not complete and subsequent versions would be released. He was unable to give an opinion as to whether we were eligible to apply because this is considered a competitive grant process. At this time, the SBA does not give specific guidance or opinions to applicants. We obviously respect the SBA's restrictions, and I waited for the next version of the FAQ, which was actually released Friday. The latest FAQ has the same exact wording that governments can only apply if they do not engage in activities other than venue operations. However, the example now says that the same Parks and Recreation department in the previous example can apply as long as functions other than venue operation are not included in the application. I reached out to the SBA director again, and I've submitted an inquiry to the SBA technical and FAQ team for clarification. It really seems like they just forgot to update the first part of the FAQ, and it seems like the intention of the program is to include governments like us. The SVOG program was scheduled to start on April 8th, but due to technical issues with the application portal, the program was pushed back to April 26th. Currently, local governments are not allowed to apply during the first 3 priority windows. So the RSCVA is at least 4 weeks out, if not longer, until the supplemental funding window, which is our window, opens. Now we're on the last federal assistance option that I'm pursuing. On March 11th, the American Rescue Plan Act was signed into law. It provides $1.9 trillion in funding aimed at mitigating the effects of the pandemic. I noted two options for federal assistance in the act that could apply to the RSCVA. The first is the $130.2 billion allocation to local governments. Full guidance regarding eligibility and program requirements hasn't been released, but the funds will be allocated in a similar manner to CRF, meaning that the RSCVA would not receive a direct allocation. I've been in contact with the state of Nevada several times regarding this funding, and it's looking like they may encourage us to apply through the county or a city. Guidance regarding the application and allocation process is expected to be available mid-May, so we will find out more then. The second option that I noted for the RSCVA and the American Rescue Plan Act was the allocation of funds through the Economic Development Agency. Out of the $3 billion being allocated to the EDA, $750 million is being set aside specifically for communities that have suffered due to the pandemic's impact on travel, tourism, and outdoor recreation. I've had several conversations with the area director of our district EDA office. They too are still waiting for specific guidance related to eligibility. And once we have that information, I can determine if the RSCVA meets those eligibility requirements. So in conclusion, I am continuing to pursue several options for federal assistance. Each of the federal assistance options are very dynamic. Rules, regulations, and information is changing rapidly, so I continue to stay on top of those updates. And I'd also like to remind the board that federal assistance was not part of the budget for fiscal year 2021, and we do not intend to budget for federal assistance in fiscal year 2022. With these dynamic and rapidly changing situations, we don't want to plan to spend revenues that don't actually materialize. The RSCVA remains in strong financial position. As you saw during the reopening presentation, certain categories are exceeding budget, and we continue to maintain a tight control over expenses. So I will continue to keep the board updated regarding the status of federal funding. And with that, I'll go ahead and wrap up this presentation, and I will ask the board if there are any questions on this item.
All right, Courtney, once again, awesome job. Really, really good work. So proud of you. I mean, and you're just, jumping full force right in. So impressive. I do want to just mention this to the board because, we have sort of, are working at a sort of half-staff capacity in some ways, and we haven't had the opportunity to bring people back because we didn't know what the landscape was going to look like. If you remember, I believe John Porter was with us on the federal side for a while, and I would like to see on the agenda to looking at bringing him back. He wrote a lot of this legislation with Senator Cortez Masto, knows how to navigate it, and also working with the LVCVA to, he's already submitted with them, and they're kind of well on their way. So they've really navigated the process and know, where these funds are, how they're allocated. And so I would like to put on an agenda, because we're not agendized, but to bringing Mr. Porter back, certainly whenever we have an ability to bring in more money to really help jumpstart some of the business that we need to bring back. So I just want to throw that out there to the board that I'm going to put that on the agenda, because he can be a wealth of information, and especially on that federal side. And he's also super close with our delegation. So if we, need anything at a moment's notice, I think it would be really beneficial. And again, I think, looking at some of these partners to bring back in some capacity so that we can sort of hit the ground running. So it's just one of my suggestions. Okay, anything else? Go ahead, Ann.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Courtney, great presentation. As you know, the Chamber has been tracking all these grants, and I wanted to make sure that you know that we host these conversations. One is coming up with the SBA on the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. I want to make sure you have the information so you can participate in that. I wanted to know, though, is SMG applying for the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant? It would seem that they qualify.
So I reached out to SMG and ASM/SMG, and they do not believe they are eligible based on the employee restriction requirement, as they have 500 employees in total, over 500 employees in total as an organization. But I have asked them to research that thoroughly, and their current conclusion is that they are not eligible.
Good question, Anne. Really good.
That'll be part of our discussions when we have face-to-face meetings here with ASM in the next
Yeah.
days.
Because it's unfortunate that due to their corporate size, they're not, they would have been eligible and a perfect way to reap the benefits of that grant. But Courtney, I'll directly contact you about the SBA contacts we've developed over the last year and a half. And you're right that some of the law is evolving, but there are also some ways around it, not in any illegal way, but I'd like to work with you as best I can and get you in touch with the folks we've worked with for over a year and a half to get funding to lots of different organizations that the language may have initially kept them from applying. And our rule of thumb is go ahead regardless. Fill out the application and you can always get rejected, but it doesn't hurt as long as you have it in.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. I really do appreciate that. I'm looking forward to working with your contacts.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, who else?
Mayor, if I might.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't shut up.
No, we like it.
I appreciate, I didn't shout out, Charles, to the rest of the team. Mike and Art did a great job as well. Thank you guys for doing that. And then I wanted to throw in a comment on, ASM, when we were sold, SMG came in and then we got the ASM, they bought them. We were sold, part of the package was they were going to sell us and bring us business through pipelines, whether it was entertainment or conventions. So I'm hoping that with our discussions with ASM guys, that we can absolutely ask them, what are you going to do for us now in Reno? Because we're open, and hopefully get them to recommit to sending some business here. They're supposedly connected in the pipeline of conventions and entertainment. So
absolutely, Rick, a different conversation, but absolutely noted, and we will be bringing it up in direct conversations when they fly out here very soon.
I appreciate that. And one more comment on, I love, again, what you've done in the short term. And I would go back to Christina. You guys, we were off the air shouting Reno Tahoe, I think, for a while with this COVID, or nobody was looking at it, and now that we've kind of went off the air and now we're back on, that's got to help our brand. It's got to be fresh that you're coming out with this whole new look and things. I think it's really got to be good for us in Reno to extend our, it makes our monies go a little further too, because you guys have done a lot of work there. So that's very much appreciated on how you watch the numbers and also coming back out and taking Reno Tahoe live again. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, we move on. So Corey, I'm going to send it back to you.
Yes, thank you so much. We are on to item F1 in the Finance Division, Independent Audit Services, and Courtney Jaeger is going to take us into this item as well.
All right, Courtney, we can't get enough of you, so go ahead.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor, and thank you again for the record, Courtney Jaeger, Vice President of Finance. Today, we are presenting for approval staff's recommended external audit firm to perform independent audit services for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, with the option for 1-year renewals for the subsequent 2 fiscal years. As you're all aware, per NRS 354.624, local governments are required to have an annual audit performed over their financial statements by an independent external audit firm. Staff received 6 fee quotes for independent audit services, and each quote was given full consideration. The firm we are presenting for approval today is Moss Adams LLP. Moss Adams is currently the 11th largest accounting and consulting firm in the United States. The engagement partner for the audit, Lori Tisch, is the national practice leader for government services for Moss Adams. Lori has extensive knowledge of convention and visitors authorities, and she currently serves on the board of directors for the Bellevue Convention Center Authority. She's very knowledgeable and she has a thorough understanding of the challenges facing our industry at the moment. Lori will be staffing the engagement with auditors who specialize in governmental accounting and auditing. Moss Adams has over 200 clients in Nevada and a very well-established governmental practice nationally. They've also served many public sector clients in Nevada. They're very enthusiastic about having us as a client, and they've already demonstrated excellent customer service and professionalism through the quote process. In addition to these qualifications, Moss Adams submitted a very competitive quote for audit services. Their fee for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021 is $49,000, which is a savings of over 20% from what the RSCVA paid to the previous audit firm. Additionally, Moss Adams has submitted reasonable fee quotes for the subsequent 2 fiscal years, with fees at $50,500 for fiscal year 2022 and $52,000 for fiscal year 2023. And with that, I will go ahead and open up this item for questions or for the board to make a motion.
Okay, any questions? Oh, okay, seeing there are none. Let's make a motion. Oh, go ahead, Charlene.
I'm ready. I'm prepared to make a motion if you're ready, Madam Chair.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay, I recommend staff to contract with Moss Adams LLP to perform independent audit services for the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, with fees estimated at $49,000, with the option for 2 subsequent 1-year renewals for the fiscal years ending June 30th, 2022 and 2023, with fees estimated at $50,500 and $52,000 respectively.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second Mark's terms.
Okay, great. I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, good job. You know, I just want to bring up one thing, Courtney, because we are talking a little bit about budget. When are we going to see that? Because I know we've got to get it approved and sort of do the deep dive. Can you give me an idea? Because I think we're a little overdue. Tell me where we're at.
Absolutely. So typically we present the board to the budget to the finance committee first and then present to the board. Based on that schedule, we were planning to present our budget to the finance committee either the week of May 10th or the week of May 17th, and then bring it to the board for approval on May 27th.
Okay, awesome.
Mayor, this is Charles Harris for the record. I believe we have May 14th set for that subcommittee meeting.
Great.
Okay, perfect. Good. Great work, Courtney. You're on it. I love it. Okay, perfect. Moving on, Corey, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, we are on to the item G, board members' comments regarding future meetings.
Okay. Anyone want to put any agenda items on, or is there anything? Go ahead, Charlene.
I don't know if I'm going to add it or it's already planned. I just had a question. If at our May meeting, we are looking for an appointment to the Sparks Tourism Facility and Revitalization Steering Committee, which will be meeting in June. And I was just asking if that will be on our May agenda.
Yes, that is on the agenda for May 27th.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Murdoch.
Hi, guys. Again, Rick Murdoch. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hey, who's, on our retreat up in Tahoe, I just like to know who the guests are, so I know who we're walking into up there that is coming to share the, the airline stuff with us. I'd like to get a list anyway and know who's coming. Good.
Rick, we'll have Corey send out a list to all the board members. It does include, I believe, 5 of the different representatives from the different airlines, but we'll have Corey send that out to the board today.
And what their capacity is, so we understand who we're talking to. And
absolutely. And for the board's edification, I believe there's 2 other airline representatives that will be joining via Zoom that will not be there in person.
Okay, great. And Charles, I know we've been speaking about this. Can you just give the board when, I know we've talked about doing an update on ASM. When are we looking at that?
Absolutely, Mayor. So for the May 27th meeting, certainly we hope to have, we will have the budget after the subcommittee for that meeting. ASM, we expect a presentation on May 27th. We also would like to put on the agenda the airport seat and the representative for that. I believe Carol is up for renewal, so we need to add that for the May meeting as well.
Okay, great. Good to know. Okay, well, good. Corey, I'm sending it back to you.
Yes, item H, comments from the floor from the public. And at this time, we do not have any comments from the public.
Okay, so are we headed into our favorite motion?
We're headed into your favorite item, item I, adjournment.
All right, everyone, may I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, I've got a motion and a
Seconded.
second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And carries unanimously. And again, I just want to say thank you to our Rockstar team. You guys are always amazing and killing it. And I'm really glad Charlene got to see kind of, you know, your strengths of what you guys do. I do think that that was really helpful because I know that, you know, COVID has sort of rearranged these meetings somewhat, but you should all be really proud of the presentations today. I thought they were phenomenal. So great work, Mike and Art and Christina and Courtney and Ben. You guys just always produce great work. So, okay, everyone, please be safe. Please go get vaccinated and tell your friends and family too as well. Other than that, take care and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bueno, planté, maneja la pelota, el balón que vino más atrás, Mason Mount, Chilwell,